Tippy time of damies, Top Cat here and welcome back to the channel. I wanted to take a second look at the Romantic Death Void Wave Grenade Launcher. Like a lot of you guys, you may have just written it off as aerial denial frames are hotter than that West Coast black sand at the moment, but these wave frame GLs do still shine and have certain strengths over them. We can farm it for another week or so in Call to Arms. Old Greybeard will let you target farm them on your road to become Bernie Sanders' mortal enemy, the 1%. In the left we have Threat Detector, Feeding Frenzy and Stats for all of your wrist snapping requirements, and Reverberation, Proximity Power and Repulsor Brace for your utilities. The right hand column fell straight out of the S tier tree and hit every branch on the way down. 5 of the 6 perks here are GOAT. We got Chain Reaction, One for All, Surrounded, Impulse, Destabilizing and Aggregate Charge. Honestly, the only thing they could have added to make it more cream worthy is I would have swapped out Redirection for Impulse. But otherwise, we got amazing perks here to pick from. The first perk I wanted to look at was Reverberation. Weapon kills increase our blast radius to 100 for 6.5 seconds after we get a kill. So any AoE effect that we stack on top of this, like Destabilizing or Chain Reaction, is naturally going to pair really well with this. That said, is it worth giving up a slot for? Ideally, I would try and get Volatile Launch for that plus 16 blast radius. You're going to want Velocity, as Implosion will drop your blast radius down. And if we go with Blast Mod and Blast Masterwork, we can push this out to 91. So Reverberation really isn't required here in my opinion. And we still got really snappy reloads at 82. So I don't really feel the need for one of those 3 reload perks. The second perk left worth mentioning is Proximity Power. I like this on my melee heavy builds, as we can grant up to 58 melee stacks off of our multi-kills. As that waveframe grenade slips under those bad dudes' toes like spilt bathwater, it's easy to trigger with one trigger pull. Perhaps on the best void exotics that I would consider using is the Doomfang Pauldrons, as we can get those melee kills and it's going to give us a tier 4 weapon surge. Now skipping to the right, I took a look at Aggregate, first with our Void subclasses as it is a Void weapon. Each 3.0 subclass struggles to apply 3 different types of debuffs to a single target in order to get that 33% damage bonus that is required to be applied to each single target to obtain that damage bonus. Plus side though, I mean, it's easier than paying for it to apply one debuff like Weakened or Destabilizing for an 11% damage bonus, but outside of that, it can be a little bit difficult on our 3.0s. What Aggregate really requires is a Prismatic kit. My favourite to use was definitely the Felwinter's Helm on our Warlock. This was recently buffed and it now weakens enemies on melee hits, not kills, and when we finish targets. The higher the tier of the enemy, the bigger the radius of this is going to be. The ultimate cocktail is to use this in conjunction with our Arc Slide along the ground and face palm them. This applies that jolt and is going to give us a 22% damage bonus to the weapon, plus the weaken and jolt effects. I like pairing this with the Helion so we can tag foes with Scorch at range before going in for that nut scraper. Our Hunters and Titans can still rock Prismatic. Don't forget, of course, we do have those Transcendent Grenades that have 2 types of debuffs in the one grenade, so it can be great, but this Felwinter's Trinity was definitely the best utility I found. Now before we grind too hard for that gold roll, it is worth acknowledging that we do have the VS Baton Aerial Denial GL, which I'm sure a lot of you guys already had that gold roll. There are 2 variants I would consider gold rolls for this weapon, that being Demolitionist and Destruction Orbs for those Prismatic kits, and Repulsors with Destabilizing for our 3.0. I know we are getting another 300 Volt slots in Renegades, but if like me, you're probably going to fill this like a kebab within a couple of short days. So I don't really feel the need to have 2 Repulsor Brace and Destabilizing rounds, weapons that kinda do the same thing. If you're a family man going out to buy a second vehicle, you don't go buy another wagon, you go buy a sports car to inflate your ego. Saying that though, if you don't have a Baton, the Repulsor Destabilizing combo is still very tasty with this waveframe. Destabilizing is king now, it actually gives you volatile rounds. It used to just like trigger little bits of purple fluff around our foes, but it now acts like violent space herpes as intended. and when they catch it, it's going to trigger us a void overshield off of their demise. Our hunters are definitely lucky though, as they have the Falcons. We can emerge from invisibility to give ourselves volatile rounds. This allows us to take a better damage perk in that right hand column with that same devastating area of effect. To make this work, you want that stylish executioner aspect that of course is on Void 3.0 and prismatic. Chain reaction is going to give us even more area of effect, particularly when we got that blast radius pumped up or paired with reverberation. Honestly, it kind of feels a tad genocidal, but we are here to go hard or go home. The absolute classic of one for all is Mega, as this grenade slides up under their skirts, gives them a quick lick, and then our next volley hits 35% harder. We had this active for 10 seconds, so this is no doubt one of the more consistent damage bonuses we are able to get. It also plays really well when you're bouncing from target to target. You get that initial multi-lick, and then we can pick our targets. Destabilizing and chain reaction kind of works well with those big clusters, but once you kill that initial cluster, these AoE effects kind of turtle head. Now, every time Surrounded is available, I'm going to chuck this up into contention for the numero uno, as when we have 3 or more targets inside our safe space, we're granted a 47% damage bonus. This lingers for 1.5 seconds, giving us a brief moment to reposition. I tried every single possible cocktail, and this was definitely my favourite when paired with Falcon, as it did give us the best of both worlds. It'll make you a sandwich whilst giving you a gobby. But it was decided for me when it came to killing those large groups of orange bar enemies at -30. Both chain and destabilizing work well here when they're in a cluster, but they fell away as the herd thinned. With One for All, we had that moment of panic on that first hit, but once that shot is out and we have that 35% damage bonus for 11 seconds, Opa really shines, and that damage bonus is fairly easy to re-proc. But with Surrounded, it definitely destroyed the orange bars the fastest. It works from the initial trigger pull and only gets weaker when we have 2 targets remaining. But I would rather have that be this weapon's weak point at the back end, where we can just swap out to a primary for cleanup. Now don't forget, of course, these tier 5 weapons have 3 perks in left and right. So number 1 on the left is definitely the repulsor brace. I also want one with proximity power. I'm not going to worry about reverberation, as it's going to pump up my blast radius. So I'll probably go for something like threat detector for some wrist snapping. In the right, at third place, I'll be looking for something like destabilizing. I say third, it's both first and third depending on your kit. And number 2, I want One for All, and number 1 is Surrounded. I know these perks play very similarly, but One for All does have the benefit as well of playing down range. I don't want to write off aggregate charge, but outside of a couple of niche pris builds, it falls over faster than a grandpa trying to carry all the groceries. Let me know what your favorite combo is in the comments down below. Call me out if you think I'm wrong, praise me if you think I'm right, make sure to thumb it if you dug it, sub if you're new, and as always, tippy time at Damies, what a tie. Bottom of everything, he's the most tip.